Welcome everybody to another episode of Coffee is for Closers business series. This is going to be an entertaining conversation. I can tell you that because guess what? David Morgan, Chief Strategist for Carbon Rivers, is going to have to explain what they do. Because David, this stuff is crazy. So back to what we're doing here is Coffee is for Closers. Really, guys, again, we're talking about businesses that are doing it. They're intentional. And so you guys have made some great progress in the last few years, but you said the company started in 2017. Can you give a little backdrop on you, how you are here in Knoxville? We're 2025. Well, that's 8 years ago when you started this, right? So tell a little story and take us to that point where we're sitting here today.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild ride, Dave, when you think about it, at least from my perspective, because, you know, Carbon Rivers began in 2017 simply because the founders wanted to commercialize advanced disruptive technologies and do things they couldn't do at the National Lab or at Y12 or other places where the team came from. So it's really funny, the way I ended up here organically is my family, when I was a kid, every year they would go to the Colorado Rockies for vacation. Well, when my family retired, they couldn't afford the Rockies. But they could afford the Smokies. Yeah. And so they came up here.
The Smokies ain't so bad.
The Smokies are fantastic. No, absolutely
fantastic. They probably discovered it's a pretty nice place.
Yeah, they did. They love it.
Right,
they love it.
Just to make sure we're all clear, everybody. No.
Smokies are wonderful. They really are. No, genuinely.
I'd make the trade, but go ahead.
Yeah, and so they came up here. They moved up here. Most of my family from Houston, Texas area. And I hadn't seen them in years because I had lived in different countries. I traveled extensively, worked for different companies. And then I came up here to spend some time with them, and I ended up staying. So, and I met Bowie Benson and some of the team members at Carbon Rivers, and they said, hey, you've got like a photography and video background. Would you do some e-commerce product photography for us? So I did that, got some shots for them. They were very happy. And he said, well, you know a lot of companies and you've traveled a lot and you've been different places. You want to come on board and help us like get this thing off the ground? Yeah. And so this is just a year and a half, 2 years after they started in 2017. Yeah. And that was kind of the organic approach, and it's been just a roller coaster ever since at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's really cool. So give people a sense, if you would. Carbon Rivers, fill in the blank for them. Carbon Rivers is
an advanced material manufacturing company.
Yeah, because when I visited, it's crazy. They're giving me this tour in the back, and you had like, you're chopping up windmills, recycling windmills?
Yeah.
And so it was crazy.
That's great. So this is a wind turbine blade, right? We don't have a lot of those in Tennessee, except Buffalo Mountain. Yeah. But you go to the Midwest, up, New England, Pacific Northwest, California, Nevada, you see wind turbine blades everywhere in the country, right? Yeah. So what we'll do, Carbon Rivers Glass to Glass, is the commercial technology to basically take those wind blades down, recycle them, we shred them, we separate out the resin system from the polymers, from the glass fiber. Yeah. And then we can put them into next life cycle materials. Wow. So we partner with a group up in Tri-Cities called Green Llama, and this is a sprayer head that has recycled glass fiber from wind blades and polypropylene.
Unbelievable.
And it's on the shelf at Whole Foods.
That's crazy. Let me see that for just a second. That's fantastic.
That's a wind turbine blade.
That's unbelievable. I mean, that's really cool for you guys.
I appreciate it.
That's cool stuff. I love hearing about stuff like that. All right, we're going to jump into now. That is a great backstory. A little bit about Carbon Rivers, a little about David Morgan. I love it. Let's jump into, every video is about three things, David, okay? Mm-hmm. The first one is the why. And let's frame it in the context of Carbon Rivers, because sometimes we talk about the entrepreneur, but you're part of this bigger team, right? Yeah. But Carbon Rivers, what is the why?
Yeah, the why of Carbon Rivers is basically we have advanced material solutions for a variety of sectors: heavy manufacturing, marine, automotive, aerospace, defense, renewables, etc. And the why is, how can we help our industry partners have better products, extend the life of those products? Material responsibility, for example, is one of the mantras we talk about. And that why really drives us to innovate and problem solve for industry. So we are working with a group, for example, right now, where we came up with the pristine graphene de-icing coating that could be revolutionary for the aviation space. Wow. So you've been on a plane before in the winter where they had to go through that glycol de-icing,
De-icing,
you know, and you're
Yeah,
sitting
right.
in the queue,
Yeah.
and then you may miss, you know, your time on the
Right,
tarmac.
it's like 30, 40, maybe an hour later, whatever.
And if it's too long and that you can't take off, you got to go back through it again, for example. So we came up with a de-icing coating with one of our partners, and it's phenomenal. And so we're testing right now with FAA as an example.
Oh,
so
wow.
those are the types of things that are exciting to be a part of, because we can genuinely solve problems.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned the concrete pour right across the street with Trowel and Trades, one of our construction partners. They're able to decrease time and materials on the project and move forward more quickly on the build out.
Yeah.
But they also can use less cement.
Wow.
In the process. So, and they have a better performing product for their customer right across the street.
Yeah.
So it's the idea of just it's not innovation for innovation's sake. It's innovation with an end in mind.
Right. Yeah, that's that intentionality. Boom. That's cool. All right. Well, that's a good why. So let's go to number 2. That is, talk a little bit about that, but get real specific for me. What is the problem Carbon River solves?
I think it's twofold. One is engaging customers and finding out specifically what their pain points are, what their challenges are in industry.
Okay.
And that's real time, right? But the second one is being prognosticators.
Oh.
So when I say that, I mean, what in the next 10 years or in the next 20 years are certain industries going to face that they're not dealing with, you know, on their line item budget sheets right now. They're not giving R&D time and budget to what they're going to be plagued with in 20 years. But we can help solve some of those solutions now,
Very
you know,
cool.
before they, what we try to do is come up with solutions before the problems arise, if that makes sense. That's why I say we're prognosticators and kind of looking forward like a Nostradamus and figuring out for various industry sectors, what are they going to deal with and how can we solve the problems now? So that would be the second one. The first one, of course, is what do they have issues with today that we can help solve? And then the second is tomorrow.
Very cool. Because may not, I mean, they're probably thinking of the future, obviously in their business, but you're having that conversation. You're the light, you're the switch in the light. So, okay, let's turn this on. Let's really explore this.
Exactly. So perfect example
innovation.
is wind blade companies around the world. They put up these large turbines, right, for renewable power, but they don't know how to recycle them. They've never thought through when these come down in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whenever that time frame is, what are we going to do other than landfill? So there's industry problems like that where they're thinking in 10, 20, 30 years, what can we do with this problem? And so we're trying to help customers think through that now rather than later.
By the way, I lived in Orange County, California, driven from Orange County out to the desert, Palm Springs.
It's like
it's unbelievable. Thousands of them.
Yeah.
In that valley, and the wind just blows and you come. Yeah, wow. I was wondering what they did with those things, and now I know. All right, when they get old, right? Like, okay. And then, okay, so let's get to number 3. And 3 is, what do customers experience when they do business with Carbon Rivers?
Well, hopefully incredible experiences, right? Hopefully mind-blowing, transformative experiences. And I'll say that when it comes to, say, this sector, Carbon Rivers glass-to-glass, recycling polymer composites, giving next life cycle or circular economy opportunities to plastics, to composite fibers, to resin systems. It's been very, very rewarding. We're working with the full automotive supply chain in a glass fiber OEM right now, and I think in the next couple of months we'll be able to announce some of this marketing-wise and PR, whereby we're taking end-of-life vehicle truck beds, SMC truck beds, recovering that material in our system, and then getting it back to the glass fiber OEM so they can do a continuous fiber remelt, and then have for the first time in the novelty in the industry, a fully recycled glass fiber filament.
Wow.
And then that goes back into the manufacturing of those new SMC truck beds, for example. And that's fantastic because they're given a full circular economy, it's meeting spec, the entire supply chain of the OEMs are happy. And
the world's happy. I mean,
exactly. You're using less virgin materials, especially importing those virgin materials into the U.S. So you can have that domestic supply chain and keep it regional, manufacturing-wise.
Well, that's good stuff on the enthusiasm, on the excitement your clients have, right? Question number 3 is like, I would think if I'm one of your customers, I'd be like, these guys are so freaking smart. This is so much fun.
And fun, hopefully, is definitely one of the words too.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like, I can create this change it's amazing. I don't even know how to go about that because I'm not that You know, that's not how I think. I'm smart in other ways, but not as it relates to this.
Well, it's funny, Dave, because one customer actually we'll say in the commercial roofing space, they started marketing our product in their material before we even finished the proof of concept.
You gotta be kidding
So
me.
they were absolutely assured that they would do well, and they just ran with it, and that was great.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, you know, it was a while back when we first came in here. I did with some folks, did a tour, and it's amazing the progress you guys have made in a short period of time. It's probably been, I think we talked, it was 2.5, 3 years ago, maybe, time frame. And congratulations. Let me ask you one last thing, because before we leave, people like to connect with, you know, obviously likes of yourself, Carbon Rivers. I like to just open up, like, how do people, I gotta get some understanding of Carbon Rivers and David Morgan. And since you're the chief strategist, can you give a little shout out to everybody, kind of how they can connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, Dave. Basically, our phone number is at the bottom of carbonrivers.com webpage and on the landing page. And then my email is very simple, david.morgan@carbonrivers.com. Happy to engage, talk about our technology, what we're doing in different industries, whether it's recycling materials and doing circular economies, and helping customers have a genuine next life cycle for their waste streams, or graphene materials and all the stuff we do in that space. So.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations again, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending a little time with us here on Coffee is for Closers. You guys are doing it. You're intentional. I love it. And all this is happening here in Knoxville, Tennessee.
That's right.
So it's really cool to see. Well, everybody, we'll see you later. And thanks again. We'll see you later on the next episode of Coffee is for Closers. Hope you enjoyed this one. Reach out to Mr. David Morgan. You have a chance, and connect with him. You're on LinkedIn, and he's all over the place, collecting awards. Anyways, thank you very much. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.